what's up y'all? So we are back, we got another video, and today it's actually not about the GR out there, it is actually about my old car, the BRZ. I know you guys haven't seen this car in a while, but it has been sitting here in the garage and I'm ready to rebuild it. So springtime, it's nice weather, so I think it's finally time to start getting to work on this car. First thing I want to do is I want to fix the suspension because for some reason this wheel is sitting straight, but that one isn't. So something's going on with the toe in this car, and I kind of need to figure out what it is so that at least I can roll this car in and out. My plan is to flip this car, put the nose of the car in the inside of the garage, and get a hoist, take the engine out, take it apart, figure out what's wrong with it, and then fix whatever needs to be fixed. But to be able to roll it in and out of the garage, I need to be able to move it, and with the toe being all fucked up, I'm not able to. My assumption is that this happened when the tow truck towed the car to the house. I don't know what exactly he strapped it to. I don't know if it's a control arm that's bent or what, but that's the point of today's video. We're gonna take it apart and figure out what's wrong with it. So let's get started on that. Alright boys, so I just took out the battery because I knew the battery was dead on this car. And my window's open, so I want to be able to close that. So I just wanted to show you guys real quick. When I was taking out the battery, dude, this positive here, bro, that thing literally broke off, and look how fucking rusted that shit is. So that's not good. The negative isn't that bad, but dude, look at my battery tie down. Like, this thing is rusted to shit. And my battery, it's an AutoZone battery, but it is not looking too good. So I'll take this to AutoZone and test it and see if it's good or not. If it's good, then I'll just throw it back in the car for the time being and then replace it at some point. Now that that's done, I'm gonna jack up the car. I'm gonna take both wheels off, and I'm gonna compare because I don't really know what's wrong yet. So I'm gonna take both wheels off and compare both sides and see what looks broken. It might just be something that's bent, but yeah, I'm no expert. Once I know what's wrong with it, I can order the new part, put the part in there, and we can kind of go from there. So this might be a multiple day video, so if you see me in different outfits, just know that that's why. Let me start taking stuff apart, and I'll update you guys as soon as I have at least somewhat figured out what the issue might be. Alright boys, so we can clearly see what the issue is. Alright, so let me show you the good side and let me show you the bad side. This right here belongs to the steering rack. I'm not really sure what this piece is called, but I know it belongs to the steering rack. So as you can see, this one looks pretty straight, no problems there, right? Let's go over to the other side, and let's look at this right here. So this is where the threads are, and this is where it threads into, and this belongs to the steering column, steering rack. As you can see, this is not straight like the other side. So when the tow truck towed my car, they bent my steering rack, or piece of steering rack. So I'm gonna have to do some research and see if I can just get this piece instead of replacing the entire steering rack, because that's not gonna be fucking fun at all. So yeah, at least we were able to diagnose what it is, and I'll have to do some research, and hopefully I don't have to buy a whole steering rack because I don't want to spend all that money, and that's even more work than I expected it to be. So now that we know what it is, we can kind of go from here. I'll have to do some research, and hopefully I can just get that part and not the entire steering rack, and I can save myself some cash, but we'll see. Alright everyone, so it's been a few days since the last clip. I did my research, I figured it out. Shout out to Jaren. He was able to help me diagnose what that piece is that's bent. So what exactly is bent is actually the inner tie rod, which connects to the steering rack. So that is a replaceable part, which is great because I didn't want to purchase a whole new steering rack and remove it from the car and disassemble it and all that stuff. Okay, so I'm getting this visual from a website, I think it's edmunds.com, and it's basically just kind of like showing you the suspension of a BRZ. But if you take a look at right here, this is the outer tie rod here. So this is what's being replaced with the roll center adjustment kit. And this right here is what we had that was bent. So that is the inner tie rod. So we're actually going to be reusing that boot because the boot is fine. It's just the tie rod itself that's bent. But we're going to be replacing this whole rod right here that goes into the back, which goes into the steering rack. Another part of the roll center adjustment kit is the ball joint. And if you see that piece right there, that's actually the bottom of the ball joint. And you see the rotor right here, and this is the whole hub over here. So we're going to be replacing that ball joint as well. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to order the inner tie rods. We're also going to order the outer tie rods because I don't know the extent to the damage of the outer tie rods because it's bent on the inner tie rod section, but it also threads into the outer tie rod. So I just went ahead and I ordered all of that. So I ordered some upgraded inner tie rods. I ordered what's called a roll center adjustment kit, which is gonna help with not just replacing the part and fixing the problem, but it's also going to adjust basically like my geometry of the car. So when you lower a car, the geometry of the car is all fucked up. So a roll center adjustment kit is going to readjust the position of, I believe, the control arms and the tie rods so that the geometry of the car is corrected. And I also ordered a new battery, new tie downs, the new tie down rods and all that stuff because as you saw, they were pretty nasty. And the positive terminal, I got a whole new terminal from Subaru directly because obviously those were rusted and honestly it's nasty, it's not going to last very long. So I might as well just go ahead and replace it. So as you guys see, it should be relatively easy, a lot easier than replacing the steering rack, and also everything's going to be upgraded. Most of it is aftermarket. I ordered the parts and they're actually here. So these are all the parts I ordered. Everything is in. We have the new tie downs for the battery, little bolts also for the battery tie down. I got my new tie down from Cusco, which, you know, looks cool. It's more of an aesthetic piece, but still cool. Mine was all rusted to shit. You guys remember mine was all like nasty and shit. So I got my Megan Racing inner tie rods. So these are the inner tie rods. They are upgraded, so they're thicker. I believe this metal piece right here is thicker than the original, the OEM. It looks thicker. This bolt is also a lot bigger, and it also has a little bit of a spacer here, so we'll have a wider turning angle. This right here is the roll center adjustment kit from Whiteline. It's got the outer tie rods and then the new ball joints, which we're going to press into the car. So those are all the pieces that we'll need to fix the car, fix the suspension, and be able to roll the car in and out, which is going to be great for us because we need to take the car out to replace the engine, as well as these are all upgraded parts, so when the car actually runs, it'll feel a whole lot better. Excited for that. That should be happening so we're back at my mom's garage. We're back to working on the car. I got the battery, which is right over there. And yeah, so I got Danielle filming. She's helping me out with the video today. So yeah.
I don't know what that looked like at all, but whatever.
Actually, in my hand, I have 2 tickets, which I got in Whitelines for exhaust and no front plate. So that kind of sucks, but you know, it is what it is. It's part of the game. If you are in the area, don't go to White Plains because they don't like loud exhausts. So I'm going to start working on the battery because it's a little bit easier, it's a little bit quicker, and I can close the window because there's like spiders all up in the car. Let me start working on that.
Come on.
Should I clean that? Tidy whiteys. Don't film this. Ooh, I see lights.
Are there any spiders in there?
Oh, lights. Almost sliced me. Oh.
Woohoo! You put them gloves on.
Putting them gloves on. Cusco battery tie down is installed, looking good. Battery's not going nowhere. We confirmed we have power, so battery's done. Looking fire, looking amazing. Look at that, Cusco. All right. Now onto the suspension, which is gonna be a lot of work. I'm gonna try to take the broken side off first, and then we'll move on to the easier side, which is the working side. Let me just start cracking at it, and I'll see you guys when it's done. I got the nut off of the outer tie rod, so I was able to get that done. The pin was really fucking hard to get out. I ended up just kind of breaking it at some point, and then I just impacted the shit out of the nut, and I think it's called the crown nut, and got it out. But as you can see, the outer tie rod is actually out of the hub itself. But right for now, I'm leaving it here because I have to remove this one. I have to loosen it and kind of push it back a little bit. I know the threads are a little bent, but I think I'll be able to kind of move this back. And then with a adjustable wrench, I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to spin this out. And I just have to count how many rotations it takes to get it out of the actual tie rod, so that I know how many rotations to spin it back in once I get the new one into the new inner tie rod. So working on that now. I'll update you guys once that's done.
Come on.
Hey, I got it out. Okay, so that part's out now. Should be able to take this nut out. This is super fucking bent, so I'm hoping I don't have to cut it off, and I can just put the tool that I have that I rented from AutoZone into here. But we'll see. So let's just keep moving.
Keep moving forward.
Stop it. I got this boot out. We're going to reuse this boot. We're just not going to reuse this clamp because this is a throwaway clamp. And from the research I've done, people replace this with a zip tie because, for one, this is metal and it tends to rust, even though this one looks pretty good. And for two, if I ever need to replace this boot or redo this for some reason in the future, a zip tie is going to be a lot easier to take off than this, and it's also a lot easier to install than this. So, zip ties it is. Using this nice tool here with the smallest size. So what I did was I put this around this piece, and then you put it in here, and then there's a little ring here that will lock it in place. So that way this thing doesn't come off this tool. Used the breaker bar, connected it to the end of here, and then spun. And I was able to get the inner tie rod out. So obviously you can tell this is a busted ass one, as you can tell by that crazy bend. But yeah, so this whole side has been removed. The only thing that needs to be removed now is the ball joint here has to be pressed out of the control arm for the roll center adjustment kit. And then this side will be ready to be installed. All the parts are going to be installed onto this side, and then we'll be good to go. This is a big win, taking this out, because it hurt to take this shit out. I pretty much like knocked myself in the face with this breaker bar, because I loosened it, and all the force went right to my face from my hand. It's out, so that's all that matters. We're back for day 2 of working on the BRZ. The last time we saw each other, we had taken out these parts right here. So outer tie rod, inner tie rod, bent inner tie rod. So this time what we're doing is we're taking out the ball joint, part of the roll center adjustment kit from Whiteline. Then we're going to be installing all the parts, inner, outer tie rod, and the ball joint. And we should be done for this side. And then we'll move on to that side. All right, let's get to work. Alright, it's going to be pretty hard to see, but this is the ball joint that we just took out of the control arm. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see there. But you see where that spot is there? It just came out of there. And now this is the ball joint we're going to press out. I rented a tool from AutoZone to be able to press this out. And let me go get it and I'll put it on, and I can show you guys kind of like what the process is to push this motherfucker out. It's pretty difficult to get this thing out of the control arm. I got it to work. So I use this adapter on the top, and I use this side to push down on the ball joint. So right there, I had to take the boot off, push down on there. Then I use this to go around the ball joint from the bottom, and then this I put on here, and then use this tool to push up on this. Usually ball joints, I'm pretty sure, push out upward instead of downward, which is why this tool was very difficult to figure out how to use, but it's out, and that's all that matters. So now I gotta figure out how to press in the new one without like damaging it. So it should be easier. I think we should just be able to put a collar up here, and then do the same thing, press it from the bottom and push it upward, and I think that'll work. Now that this is in, we can throw the hub back onto this. Oh shit, let me not lose that. So the ball joint is installed, thank God, because it took a whole lot of research and understanding to try to figure this shit out. But it's in, so that's all that fucking matters. Thank you to this tool, because if without this tool I honestly would not be able to do it. And thank you to Rally Sport Direct. I think they have a forum post. I think it's like FT86 Club or something like that. With their post, I was able to figure out how to install this. So let me get this hub back onto this, and let me try not to damage those threads. Alright boys, we have finished the ball joint install. Look at that. So we got the hub on the ball joint, we got the castle nut in, and then we got the cotter pin locked in there. And for those of you who don't know, because I honestly didn't know that much, this cotter pin, you go all the way in, and then the top one, there's two sides, one is shorter and one's longer. One side's shorter and one side is longer. You take the longer side, you put it on the top so that it's facing upward, and then you bend it back. One side is unbent, and then the other side gets bent over the part. So that's installed. Next up is, sorry for the lighting, next up is the inner tie rod. Cool, so we finished one side. We're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. Taking this out, taking this out, taking the ball joint out. Literally the exact same process on the other side. And then my steering should be good, finally. And my suspension should be good on the BRZ. Then we can move on to doing other things that actually matter, like taking the engine out and replacing that so that the car will actually drive. And then we can get an alignment. Anything that I messed up on the alignment there, they can fix. Alright YouTube fam, we have finished with the install. Let me show you guys what it looks like. It took a lot more work than I thought it would, but it wasn't horrible. Something I could manage doing by myself. Passenger side, the one that I showed you, super easy. Driver side was a little bit harder. The ball joint actually didn't want to come out. The regular nut, I used the impact and it would spin, but it wasn't like coming out. So I think the ball joint itself, like, I guess broke and just kept rotating. So we had to like drill it out. Basically we drilled the nut out and then smacked it out, but it took a couple hours just to do that. But other than that, the inner outer tie rods were super easy to install. Actually installing the ball joint and like pressing it back in was relatively easy. You just have to make sure that you're going in super straight, because if not, the ball joint will, like, I don't know, it'll end up like twisting and you might end up breaking your ball joint. But other than that, super easy install. Stay tuned for the next video. Next video is going to be related to the GR86. We actually have two videos coming up. Both of them are going to be related to the GR86. One of them is the track day, so that's super exciting. I enjoyed working on the BRZ again. I'm glad that it's straight and we can basically roll it in and out. After the GR86 stuff, we're going to come back to the BRZ. We're going to start taking the front end out, and we'll start disconnecting everything that needs to be disconnected for the engine to come out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you that views this video. If you guys haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.